Hey guys, back again, History 1301. This is Section 5. This is actually Part 2 of Section 5. So, let's talk a little bit about Samuel Adams. Now, first of all, guys, Samuel Adams is one of those guys in history. In history, you often get these people that they step onto the pages of history for a short time, they do whatever they're going to do, and then they're gone. It's almost like that's what they were here to do in history. Samuel Adams is that kind of guy. Now, Samuel Adams is a little bitty guy, always wore a red jacket. It wasn't that the fact that he always wore the red jacket, he looked like he wore the same red jacket every day and probably slept in it. He was kind of disshuffled little guy. And today we associate Samuel Adams. If you go to Walmart and you go ask the clerk, where's the Samuel Adams at? The clerk's going to probably send you to where the alcohol is located. That's a hint. Samuel Adams was involved with alcohol. He was a rum runner. Means he was involved with running illegal alcohol up and down that East Coast. He was also good friends with another famous guy that we know has the big signature, John Hancock. Hancock was very wealthy and had a lot of ships, and him and Samuel Adams were kind of little running buddies, so to speak. So what does Samuel Adams have to do with the English, with the Boston Tea Party, with the Boston Massacre? What does he have to do with any of this? Well, first of all, guys, Samuel Adams had a great dislike for the British. Now, before we think he was the big patriot like Washington or Jefferson or these kind of guys, he really wasn't. It was a business deal. The English were up on that East Coast. He was trying to run alcohol, and the English got into his business. He wanted the English out of there, okay? Now, the Boston Tea Party, we talked about all those taxes that came up. What they did was they went in and the English taxed tea. And not only on top of that, they brought in some really old junky tea. Now, today we look at this and we don't really understand what's the big deal. Because we have Cokes and Monster Drinks and Dr. Peppers and Mountain Dews. These folks only had tea, and tea was a big thing. You know, part of your culture was to sit down and to have fine Virginia tobacco and have tea, good tea, and that was a big deal for them. And they were taxing this tea. So Samuel Adams, a group of guys, the Sons of Liberty, will get together. They're going to board a ship up in Boston. They're going to take all this tea. They're going to dump it overboard. Now, the thing about Adams, and I always tell people, Adams knew exactly what he was doing. What he wanted to do was, Adams was an activist and an aggravator. He wanted to aggravate the English. It worked great. Yes, he got that result. Really aggravated them because they're going to come in and they're going to come up with a series that's called the Declaratory Acts. They're going to, these will basically, the English government or the English military will come into Boston and under Townsend and take the town. Basically, they come in and they take over. And at this point, England has fed up with them. They've tried these different taxes. Everything's failed. And now these guys have come up there and they've committed all this damage. They've threw all this tea overboard and committed a vandalism, basically. And at this point, it's kind of interesting. A couple of things happen. The Stamp Act Congress has already been founded. Now, what that is and why that's important, guys, is always remember, I'm always looking at my PowerPoint, as you should. That's October 1765. 27 delegates will get together. Now, here's the thing I like to point out to my class, guys. At this point, guys like Jefferson, Adams, Madison, your founding fathers, these guys were very proud to be English subjects. They considered this a family quarrel. They did not think at this point that they were ready to break away. After what happens at the Boston Tea Party, like I said, Grenville will come in. He's going to take a very hard stance. The English military will come in. They'll take Boston. They take their city council. They basically put them under military control. At this point, England has taken the iron fist and saying, look, Your English subjects, you're not behaving. Now you're going to behave. At this point, this is when guys like Washington and Jefferson, they're looking back going, look, no, they're not really treating us right. Now you're going to get the first signs of, hey, look, we need to break free. Let's talk real quick about the Boston Massacre. Guys, the Boston Massacre will be a group of guys. I always tell my students, it's really funny how history, we get these group of colonists that were just fine, upstanding guys, and they're standing out there, I don't know, singing Christmas carols or whatever they're doing, and the evil British come up and shoot them. That didn't actually happen that way. These guys had all been out, the colonists, these guys had been out drinking. They had a lot of resentment towards the British. British soldiers were out there. They're kind of drunk. They're mad. There's ice. There's snow on the ground. Hey, although it doesn't snow that much in this part of the country, the minute it snows, somebody loves to do what? Build a snowball, go chunk it at your little brother. They start chunking things, snow and ice. The British turn around, they open fire, and they shoot them. Paul Revere, will know him as making his famous ride. He actually worked in a press. He will come up with the bloody Boston Massacre. Picture is worth 1,000 words. This picture was worth a bunch. Then the British, you'll see resentment building up. You've got this Boston Tea Party. You've got George Grenville, Prime Minister, has now come in with an iron fist. Okay, now you got the Boston Massacre. All these things are coming up. Now you have resentment. The interesting thing about Samuel Adams is, how does he fall in history? Is he going to be with George Washington crossing the Delaware? No. Is he going to be with Thomas Jefferson when they write the Declaration of Independence? Nope. Will he be with Washington's armies as they go into New York? Nope, none of that. So what does he do? His part in history is done, guys. He has instigated, he started this thing up, and he's moved on. The interesting thing about guys, if you study history, guys like Adams, usually the people who will start or they initiate a revolution, they very seldom will carry it through and become the leaders of that. His part was to start it. A little Samuel Adams. And now you know. We come back, guys. We're going to deal a little bit with the last part of this thing. And we're getting ready at this point to go to war with England. See you then.